Hello, my friends. Here are three big stories for today. We're going to start with Ukraine in Kursk. Okay, one major advantage for Ukraine in Russia's Kursk border area, it comprises no large towns or cities with substantial numbers of Ukrainian troops that they would have to occupy. It's largely made up of small rural villages like Novo, which offer no opposition. So you have conscripts, so you don't have strong fighters. You don't have to have urban warfare in, major cities. You don't have to leave lots of soldiers there. So on many levels, this was a really good thing for Ukraine. Now, it made me think of this quote by Einstein: "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid." Like, so think about what happened here. If Ukraine, with less artillery and less manpower, tried to play Russia's game of using more artillery and meat wave assaults, it will lose. It can't afford to do that. So it's playing a different game, and it's really, really, really bothering Russia in the process. Now, this morning I talked about this. Extended Ukrainian control of the Kursk region has been confirmed on two more axes. Now, look, on a side note, this marks the first time, this area down here, this marks the first time that Ukrainian forces have entered the Lugovsky district at the southern end, the green area in screenshot 2. So they're just barely into this area as well. So they're pushing forward. And look at this. The Russian regime authorities have issued urgent evacuation orders to all remaining civilians in the Glushkovsky district, the area in green over here. So not just up here, but over here as well. So they're spreading, they're moving through this territory pretty rapidly. In the Kursk region, it's likely that the Ukrainian forces have already crossed into that region. All right. And then there is this report. This was 13 hours ago, and I haven't seen anything else. There was a leak from Russian intel services. Ukraine is accumulating large military forces to attack into Russia's Belgorod region. Now, Belgorod would be a big city. Ukrainian forces in Sudzha also expected to assault from the north. My thought, taking and holding Belgorod may be the ultimate objective, but then you lose a little of that mojo because now you have to occupy the city. But we just don't know. Let's see how that all plays out. So it is possible to push from below and from the side and kind of corner and capture, but okay. All right. Meanwhile, just that there is Ukrainian news reporters on Russian territory giving the news, that's enough right there that it would be flipping the Russians out. And I talked about this. Go back one video and you'll see them talking about, like, Russian propagandists talking about Ukrainians, and they're in their territory and these people are terrible. And okay, at any rate, but she's talking about this. Watch this. So the flag is coming down, and we are here in Sudzha for this very historic moment. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, when the Russian tricolor falls to the ground, right? I mean, yeah, that's a pretty significant motivational shot in the arm for the Ukrainians. Okay, now let's turn our attention to big story number 2. What's going on with Putin? Like, I thought you were an all-powerful dictator and in control, but he doesn't tend to be that in control or that swift to act. As Ukraine's assault on Russia's Kursk region continues, Moscow's repeated insistence that everything is under control is wearing thin. It really is. Ukraine claims it controls 74 settlements in the Kursk region. So, and they're building, and the line that they're putting as a defensive line is 45 kilometers deep. Like Russia's just going to cede that territory? It's fascinating. Kyiv's long-term plans are unclear, but the longer the incursion lasts, the harder it is for the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, to brush it off. This is just, it's nothing to see here. He can't do that. It's usually a sign that something is rattling the Kremlin when the elite start using all kinds of euphemisms to refer to it, like a special military operation, not a war. The FSB, Russia's principal security agency, announced that measures were being taken against an armed provocation. You notice they haven't talked about an invasion of Ukrainians. They talk about a provocation, they talk about terror acts, they talk about things like this, but it's never an invasion. Putin and other officials have referred variously to a situation, a terrorist attack, and the events in the Kursk region. Notably, absent are words such as invasion or Ukrainian control. Right. So that's just how they have tried to minimize what's going on in the area. The invasion of parts of Russia exacerbates a dilemma that the Kremlin has faced since the start of the full-scale invasion. Whether to portray Russia's war on Ukraine as an existential fight, or, and Putin has kind of said that sometimes, or whether to suggest that it's a local conflict fully under control and nothing for anyone to worry about. The state controlled media has pushed both of these contradictory narratives at various times, but has favored the latter story. Generally, it's a special military operation, don't call it a war, or you can go to jail. There's nothing really to see here. Overall, routinizing the event seems to be working so far because it unites the wishes of the elites and the people alike. But Putin's response has been far from convincing. He has not toured the affected areas or delivered stirring speeches demanding a spirited defense. It fits a pattern throughout his rule, like the Kursk submarine or the Prigozhin episode, where he is slow to respond at moments of crisis. Now, those in the elite will be watching to see if Putin can once again come out on top after initial shaky response to the events in Kursk. What I suspect they're watching for is this: is the power still strong? Does the old man still have it in him? So it's interesting to see just how he responded, and in the face of everything that's going on. He can make things happen, but I don't know that he's sure of what he should be doing, and he can't trust his underlings. Anton Gurashenko posted this. This is Ben Hodges talking about how red lines apparently just don't even exist.
Also gives lie to this perception that somehow Putin will escalate, use nuclear weapons. The worst thing he's done so far is launch an attack at another Ukrainian supermarket.
I mean, that's really the reality. Like, he was supposed to have this red line: don't cross it, don't cross it, don't cross it, and we keep listening to him. Why?
So we have been deterring ourselves for too long.
So you would say
That's exactly right. We've been deterring ourselves, and Putin has been winning that game. Now, everything happens for a reason. When Russia attacked Ukraine, you can't expect that eventually Ukraine's going to do something to retaliate, and they're doing something. And the Russians can't stand that Ukraine is actually active in their territory. Sergei Martin was talking in this video about how there's 180,000 displaced Russians, and don't you people care? Like, well, there's also 6.5 million displaced Ukrainians. He doesn't seem to care about that. Okay, last big story. Not too long ago, Putin went to North Korea, made a deal with Kim for some weapons. Well, what's Kim getting out of the deal? Among the things that Kim's getting out of the deal are 447 goats. Not making this up. This was in Politico yesterday. Russia sends 447 goats to North Korea after Kim Jong-un sucks up to Putin. And guns for goats. Russia sent, drumroll, 447 goats to North Korean city of Rason. The goats will provide dairy products to local children to relieve North Korea's food shortages. According to Human Rights Watch, 10.7 million out of 25.9 million people in North Korea are malnourished. So, as far as worrying about a North Korean army coming in on the side of Putin, when you have 10.7 million out of 25 million malnourished, it's probably not a lot to worry about. Yeah, they have some weapons, that's true, but as far as soldiers, I wouldn't worry. During Putin's recent trip to North Korea, the two leaders signed an agreement that commits them to, quote, mutual assistance in the event of aggression against one of the participants. Okay, how about that? Okay, I'm going to leave you with this. Kursk offensive. Ukrainian soldiers left Google reviews for a cafe in liberated Sudzha, Russia. Okay. What they have to say. So they're showing you in this video where the cafe is on the map, and then I'll read some of the comments. You always feel watched. Nice place though. Ukrainian language is preferred. Great food, just a lack of parking for my aid convoy. How can we book a table? Me and 2,000 of my colleagues are coming from Ukraine and would like to book a table for dinner. Also, do you have plenty of free parking? We bring a lot of cars with us. Finally, they didn't speak our language. At least there was free parking. Okay, so now you know about that cafe in Russia. One more thing before we go. If you are a channel member on this YouTube channel or a patron on Patreon, I'm going to do a live stream on Saturday morning. I'll put the details out where patrons can see it and where members can see it. Please feel free to join me, ask whatever questions you want about Ukraine, and everybody else will be able to see it on the back end, but only members and patrons will be able to ask questions, and that's a perk to say thank you for being willing to so graciously support me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.